Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us and for attending this session. The idea of this session is to discuss whether or not it would make sense to put in place a project that lets us, let's say, polish even further the Ubuntu Touch project. I've seen that while we at Canonical provide new features and a lot of bug fixes with every OTA, there are still so many things that need to be polished. And maybe there are little things that could be done by other people other than ourselves. I mean Canonical. So I was thinking if it would make sense to have a curated list of bugs that we think could be solved by community people, maybe with a little help from us. And that's one of the things I would like to discuss today. Letting them approach the development of Ubuntu Touch, collaborating with maybe little things in the start, and let's say speeding up things helping speeding up things for everyone. Let's see. Okay. I will try to keep an eye on IRC. So,
and if anyone has questions on IRC, if you could just start them with the word "question" in all capital letters, that'll turn it bright yellow on my screen so that I can see it and I can bring it up in the video. So Dobie's asking, isn't this a similar idea to the paper cuts project? Were you around for the paper cut, the 100 paper cuts?
No, actually, I wasn't. I was trying to, I've been trying to find some information on that, how it worked, what worked best, what didn't work. So I could, I don't know, maybe we could reuse what had worked once and change what didn't. I could only speak to some people, which in fact told me that the 100 paper cuts project was once thought to help us push some changes in upstream when we didn't, let's say, own all the stack. Of course, it's a different situation now, but I think that the idea of the paper cuts remain. The thing is, there are little things that may have a big impact on everyday users, on early adopters, let's say, that could be solved with maybe not much work. But I mean, even if it's if there are short tasks, somebody has to do them. Give me a moment because I somehow left IRC. I'm sorry for this delay. So the idea first would be, do we think something like this could work, like having a curated list of tasks, and by curated I mean tasks chosen by us that we feel that people could accomplish hopefully on their own or with little help from us, maybe some guidance. Maybe we could pick some of these tasks for every OTA, maybe based on what users feel it's the most important thing for us, while we keep concentrated on developing maybe bigger and longer tasks. I know that we have some problems in apps, and I know we have some problems to be solved also in the SDK. Maybe if we help by solving these little things in the SDK, we can let other people with more time or more skills or with, I don't know, ideas for something bigger to concentrate on that kind of stuff, while we help on little tasks on which they can build later.
All right, so to start off with, why don't we try and define what you think the scope of this should be? The title is Band-Aids for Ubuntu on Touch Devices. Are you interested just in like phone and tablet interface and interactions, or in Unity 8 in general? And are we going to include, like you had mentioned earlier, the apps that we ship also, or just the main shell, the Unity 8 layer of it?
I was thinking specifically on phone and tablet.
Okay. Not necessarily Unity 8 on a desktop environment.
No. Actually, I don't know. Maybe if there is people interested in helping on that, I don't know. It wouldn't be my focus.
Okay.
I mean, I'm more interested in seeing. I mean, the tablet are young products, and I think it would be very useful to keep some things fixed, so our early adopters get happier, and so other people can be an early adopter too.
Okay. So then, how about how the depth of this? Do we want to do just Unity 8, or did you want to include apps as well? And if so, which apps do you want to include?
Well, I was thinking on apps too. I think that we might be able to better help others, or to better know what needs to be done and what could be done with apps we develop ourselves. We could, of course, talk with developers of other apps to let them include some of their issues too. I mean, it would be maybe more coordination, but it can be done. I mean, there are apps developed by others that are getting popular, and that's great. And we might want to help that people go further.
Okay.
I'm taking a look at the pad, and maybe with these very accurate questions that you wrote there, where to track them. We have Launchpad, which could be a good place to start, at least. We have a lot of bugs already there, so we might be able to curate a list of them and put them all together. I don't know, maybe creating a project and affecting those bugs. Who will fix them? The idea is to invite members of the community, which might, I don't know, maybe be afraid to start, or maybe they don't know where to start. So I would like to use this as well as a way for new people to approach the development in Ubuntu Touch. I don't know. I myself have been in the place where I would like to help with the project, but I really didn't know where to start. So given that it's a new product and that we are having new users, I mean, not the regular Ubuntu user that maybe knows the projects a little better. I would like to use it as a way to invite new people to collaborate.
Okay, so if we use Launchpad to track it, it would probably be best to use the existing projects that we have for bugs, and then just use a specific bug tag for it, like we have done in the past with bite-sized bugs.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, not all the bugs might be in the same project.
Right. I think we've got
app bugs might be in separate projects.
Right. I think we have a kind of a parent project in this canonical devices system image. I don't remember if this is the right one or not, but I know we had kind of a parent project that we used.
Yes, indeed.
So we can use that, and then we can just pick a tag that we want to use specifically for this Band-Aids project.
Sure.
I don't think bite-sized really fits. As I said to Adobe and IRC, bite size is really just something small, but not necessarily something broken. So I think we should have a tag that really is clear about this. We could use paper cuts. Was paper cuts tag used before? Adobe, do you remember if paper cuts was a tag that we used?
Yeah, Ara is saying that paper cuts was actually a separate project, which I think I saw on Launchpad.
Let's
look. So it was both the tag and the project. Okay.
Not seeing a paper cuts project. Ah, there it is, 100 paper cuts.
Right.
That's what it was. Oh, this was one of Ivanka's projects.
One of?
I'm just sorry, reminiscing.
Okay.
I miss Ivanka. So let's see how that worked. Okay, so it looks like they would take bugs in this project and then they would mark them as affecting other projects.
Right.
Okay, so we can do that either way, either like we do bite-sized bugs or like they did paper cuts. Do you have a preference for either of those approaches?
I think that having a different project might be a better way to organize them, since there might be bugs that are not affected in canonical devices system image project, specifically apps. I mean, if we are going to be also covering apps bugs.
Okay, and we could have done the same. I think that's what we've done for other bugs, either move them out of canonical devices system image or just mark them as affecting something else. But having a separate project will make it easier to track everything all in one place also. So do you want to take over 100 paper cuts and reuse that? Or do you want to make a clean break and start something new?
Well, I don't know if it could be done. I mean, I don't know if it is possible to take over the project. Maybe.
Yeah. We know Launchpad developers and sysadmins, so
yeah, of course,
anything is possible if we ask nicely enough.
Yeah, I don't know either if it would be clever to do that. I don't know, maybe a little bit of rebranding might bring some fresh air, especially if we are not going be covering desktop things. I don't know. I think that the 100 paper cuts project was specifically for desktop. So
Okay.
oh, okay. Thank you, Omar, for the comment. In this particular case, I was. Yeah, thank you, Dobby. I think that we might benefit both from feedback from the users and from the project leaders that might know, might be able to assess better what kind of work a bug will need.
So that answers the where will we track them question. So next is who will track them?
No, who will fix them?
Oh, who will fix them? Yes, sorry.
So my idea was to start inviting people in the Ubuntu phone mailing list. We have a lot of enthusiastic people there who might be needing a little push or an invitation or maybe some guidance to do that. I think it would be a good place to start.
Okay, so this wouldn't necessarily be, report bugs and then somebody from Canonical is going to come and fix them. It's going to be more of a, here are some pain points. Here are maybe some people in Canonical who can help you figure out how to solve them, but trying to get others to actually join in and start helping us fix these bugs as they come up.
Yeah, I mean, we at the moment, it's not like we need more bugs to be reported. We have enough already. There will be more coming, of course. But the thing is, try to solve the bugs we do have now.
Okay.
But about the canonical tips to provide assistance and direction, that's one thing that we should actually ask them if they are willing to participate in this way. I mean, I talked to managers who said they would be happy to help me curate the list of bugs, but I'm not sure if developers have time or I mean, I don't know if they can really compromise on taking up on this.
Yeah, it's usually a good bet that developers are not going to have time. I think everybody's overcommitted already. But if we're only asking them for 10, 20 minutes every day or so, then I think they can squeeze that in. Well, especially if it's going to result in some actual code fixes for them also.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that it would be the best to have some developers helping us too, because these people, especially when you're starting, you tend to need some guidance, at least links to read or stuff like that. Of course, it would be the best. I'm not sure whether or not we can count on that. It would be one thing to ask.
All right, let's move on to our next question then, and that's who will track all of this. One thing that we found with various things like the Patch Pilot program is that if somebody's not tasked with following up and making sure that these things are getting done and people are getting helped in a timely manner, then that tends to slip. So it's really important to have somebody who's going to regularly check up on this and keep the ball rolling?
Well, I can do that. I mean, I could talk to people and make sure at least. I mean, I can ping everyone in a while. I mean, every now and then, and maybe talk to canonical people as well to see if I don't know if people are needing something.
Right, we've got a volunteer on IRC too, so maybe we should create a
Awesome.
Launchpad team for this also.
Yes. Thank you, Omer.
All right, now I'm gonna come down to the bottom and start putting together some work items.
Okay.
All right, and I'm going to put you down for these two work items to create the new Launchpad project and to create the new Launchpad team.
Sure.
And then you can go ahead and add Omer and myself to that team once you get that created.
Okay, awesome.
All right, so that gets us to the last question, and that is how often do we want to check in on the progress of this?
I had thought that it might make sense to have some cycles like OTAs, maybe be in sync with them. So maybe choose some tasks for the current OTA, try to work through them, and if possible, release with the OTA, just to, I don't know, have some kind of prefixed cycle that and I know, I mean, we know the time that we have to work on something, and we have I don't know, we have a deadline and everything that sometimes helps, given it will be voluntary work, of course. I mean, each one does whatever they can, but maybe be synchronized with them, given that also every OTA gives their own bug fixes and new bugs. It might make sense to keep this synced.
Okay, so with OTA cycles being every 6 weeks, give or take, we really should probably check on it at least every 2 weeks, if not every week, just to check on the status of things. So maybe 1 week to pick targets, and then a week to start promoting them and trying to get people to look at them and maybe start fixing them.
Yeah, most probably the last week before an OTA and the first week after an OTA will be the busiest ones, while we check on new bugs and we choose, let's say, new bugs to be fixed while we get people to work on them, and then trying to do some kind of QA and stuff like that we will still need it before each release. So yeah, I'd say that upping every week would be necessary, at least in the beginning, while we're still working and finding out how it goes and how to work.
Okay, so so if we plan it to do something with this every week to check on the status of it, specifically going back and reviewing how we did at the end of every OTA, then we need to know how we're going to have this review. Do we want to do it all over email? Do we want to have regularly scheduled Google Plus Hangouts or IRC meetings in the Ubuntu Meeting IRC channel? And maybe that's something that we can work out, later once we start getting people involved in this a little bit.
Yeah, I think it might depend a little bit on how much people we get to start working on this, and I don't know, time zones and stuff like that. I mean, in the beginning, I would leave it to be defined while we start doing it and putting it all together.
Okay. And then last but certainly not least, how are we going to let people know about this project and promote the work that people do once they start contributing to it? So using social media is obviously something we need to do. I can post things to like the Ubuntu, Google Plus, and Facebook accounts if we wanted to put together like a weekly summary.
Do we actually do we still have any Identica or Twitter account to post on?
We have a Twitter account. I think I have the credentials to that now.
Okay.
I have just rarely used it in the past. I don't think we use Identica anymore. I haven't used it in years.
Yeah, I don't know if it exists anymore, actually. I don't know if we're still following the Insiders group. I mean, if that project is still alive, or if we are planning to keep it alive or anything.
It's still alive, and there's a active Telegram channel. I'm not sure if this is really an Insiders kind of thing, though. Even though probably a lot of the people that we'll recruit are involved in Insiders.
No, I was just thinking maybe, I don't know, I mean, this kind of people that start collaborating with us and stuff like that could be in some way. I mean, if we are still following that program, we might want to add them, I don't know, stuff like that.
Yeah, we can definitely do that and see what interest there is there. I know we have a lot of non-developers in that group, but
yep,
there's also a lot of developers, so that's a good idea.
I mean, in the sense that these people that gets closer and starts doing things might like a reward like that, like, I don't know, being included in early stuff and stuff, I don't know, things like that.
Okay.
Maybe we can, I don't know, in the release notes, do some special section with, I don't know if it would make sense.
Well, if somebody's contributing fixes, then it would be in the regular release notes, wouldn't it?
Right.
All right, well, I think that answers all of the important questions for this.
I still don't have an answer for myself in the sense that I don't know, the other people participating in at least on IRC, or I don't know, that does it make sense for you? Do you think it can be done, and that it would be worth the work of putting it all together?
Well, I certainly think that it's worth doing. I think it's a great idea, and as long as we can get enough interest from the community to get some new developers working on these things, then I think we'll be able to do this really well. Fixing apps is going to be really easy. We already have a lot of organization around that, a lot of good community developers working on apps already, so I don't think that'll be hard. It might be a little more difficult if it's something in Unity itself, or even something that's got a deeper root cause, like in Mir or in Android. But at the higher levels, I think we'll be able to have some good success with this.
Yeah, that's why I thought of involving the project manager, so they can better assess what things they thought. I mean, they think that could be achieved with, without the need of digging too much in the code, or in stuff that we still haven't completed yet, or stuff like that.
Yeah, the hard part's going to be keeping the scope of these at the level that we want it to be, and not having it turn into like Ubuntu brainstorm, where it's people suggesting features that should be added that are not small little fixes after all.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we have that people already in the canonical system image project. That there is, you can find almost anything. I mean, from I don't know, new layouts for the keyboard to I don't know, people that want the telephone to make coffee for you in the morning. So we already have all that requests for a wide variety of things. I think that the thing is we should pick it carefully and try to get some help for the things that can be done.
Have you talked to any of the engineering managers about this yet, to get kind of a feel for how much their teams can commit?
Well, I so far I only asked if they would think it could be done, and if they could help with picking the issues. They said yes, happy to do it. I haven't asked yet for any commitment from the engineers, and that's why I don't know how easy that will be, because I mean, everybody has tons of things to do, but I guess we can try.
Maybe as long as we don't end up becoming a time sink for the engineers, then I think we won't have any problem getting them to help us triage bugs and point people in the right direction for a fix.
Yeah, I mean, many do that already on the Ubuntu phone mailing list, so they might be willing to help on this kind of thing too, hopefully.
All right, well, it looks like we've got a pretty good idea of how this would be run and who's going to be running it. Is there anything else that you think we should plan for, or do we have enough to get started?
No, I think that's for starting. We already have some things.
How about
yes,
everyone on IRC? Does anyone there have any additional questions or suggestions for us? And sorry, I interrupted you there. What were you saying?
No, I was answering Omer, saying that yes, that's not that uncommon. There is a lot of people that say, "Hey, but this little thing annoys me, and I want it fixed." The thing is that, well, each one is annoyed by different things. What I would like to tackle is the things that annoys the most amount of users. I mean, the biggest amount of users. And if that small thing that annoys them is easily solvable by themselves, happy to help too.
Oh, one thing I hadn't thought of yet is, do you want to? Which devices do you want to accept bug reports for? Do you want to stick to just the ones that Canonical provides device images for, or open it up to any kind of ports that are going on, or limit it even just to the commercial devices from BQ and Meizu? Because I know for the Nexus 4, there's a lot of things that don't work or don't work well, that ultimately come down to just the hardware either doesn't support it or is buggy. And so they're not going to be improved necessarily on the Nexus 4, but they work great on the BQ and the Meizu phones.
That's a good question. I haven't thought about it. I would go for our commercial phones and maybe, I don't know if new ports as well. I mean, the Nexus 4 is an old phone already. I don't know if it's got any sense to invest our time on that. I mean, if people want to continue that development, it's great.
I think the Nexus 4 is still technically the development target for the phablet team.
Yes, that's right. And I think I would like to start by with the commercial phones. But I don't know. Maybe we can, if we see a lot of interest in other things. I mean, a lot of the things that annoy users are really things that don't work or that could be used cross-device. If there will be some specific things, like I think the radio and the BQ devices or stuff like that. I don't know if we would like to invest that much on other ports.
Yeah, my concern is that there might be a lot of bugs being reported that are specific to one device or another, or one set of ports or another.
I don't know, not really. I think, I mean, there are a lot of devices, for example, right now for the tablet, but I mean, they're like I think it's only because it's our only convergence device. It might be the same if we had more. If we had more converged devices, maybe those bugs would be. They would affect all the devices too. And no, I don't think there are so many bugs device specific.
Okay.
But I don't know about the other ports. I mean, the ones that we are not developing. I don't know how that goes. I mean, I don't know how far they have gone with the hardware enablement or stuff like that. I don't know it, and so I don't know. I don't want to commit on that.
Okay.
I might need to investigate a little.
As a general rule, I think if we said that it has to be a generic problem with the software and not a hardware enablement issue to be part of this.
Yes, I'd say that's the most. I mean, hardware enablement, I think it's usually harder. There are harder problems to solve, and so I think they would be less likely to be solved by someone that. They most surely they will not be short tasks, and most surely you will need to dig deeper into the code base. So at least for now, I would leave that out.
Sounds good. And I would also add in there that performance issues we should probably leave out, because those are generally multi-factor issues that require a much deeper understanding of the system to solve properly.
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm in the Telegram feedback Telegram group, and there has been people that just taking a look at the Telegram code has found like a lot of things that could be improved. And it's only looking at Telegram. So I don't know if I would leave that out from the start. Of course, there are things that are you need to dig deeper and wider in the system to find out what's happening. But I don't know. I think that there are some apps that could be improved too on their own.
Okay, we'll leave that open then, and then just kind of take them as they come to determine whether or not it fits the project or not.
Right.
All right, well, we've got a good plan, and we've got some work items to get us started. The IRC channel has been quiet these past few minutes. So if there's nothing else, I guess we can wrap up soon and start launching this.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody on IRC has anything else to say.
All right. Did you add the work item to send an invite to the Ubuntu phone mailing list?
I'm sorry?
There's a work item at the bottom of the Etherpad.
Yes, that's mine.
Okay. So when you send that, I'll use that as kind of the basis for a blog post that I'll put up.
Sorry?
After you send out the invite to the mailing list, I will use whatever you say in there as the basis for a blog post on developer.ubuntu.com.
Okay, sure.
And that will hopefully be enough to get some contributors interested and get this started.
Yeah. So Nathan says. Okay. Okay. So I have a lot of things to do.
Yeah, that happens when you start a UOS session, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad to do it, no problem.
All right, well, great. I'm looking forward to this.
Okay, good. Okay, so thanks everybody for joining the session. If you need to find me later on IRC, I'm usually Lahushis without the dust underscore, or you can find me on my email.
All right. Well, thank you very much for starting this and taking the work items to lead it.
Thank you very much for the help leading this session.
Happy to help.
Notes.
All right. And thanks everyone on IRC for your input also. All right, and with that, we're done with the first day of the online summit. Yay!
Yay!
All right, well, see everyone tomorrow then.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.